John Lusk here with Lusk Archery Adventures, series testing, successful hunting. I'm excited to test another broadhead today. I have over 70 different broadheads that I've tested here on my channel, and that number is increasing all the time. So I hope you can go back and check out some of the other tests. If you're doing research on what kind of head for what kind of animal you're going to be hunting, you may be able to find some help and some answers in my testing. I love doing these tests. I think it's because I'm an engineer and I'm a pastor, so I like to study out design things and I like to talk, and then I'm a hunter, so I like to hunt. So put it all together and out comes over 100 videos here so far on my channel and counting. But today I'm going to be testing the Grim Reaper Micro HADES broadhead. Okay, this is pretty interesting. Now, Grim Reaper, you probably have heard of as a company. They've been around since the year 2000. So at this point, it's almost 20 years that they've been around. They're especially interesting that they're independently owned. The original owner is still the owner and the designer, the primary designer of all the heads. They're not part of a conglomerate. They haven't sold out to other owners. They also don't do other stuff. They only do broadheads. So they don't have sights or bows or anything like that. They just do broadheads. And because of that, they can focus a lot on broadheads. There's not many independent original owners out there that just do broadheads of the big broadhead companies. So they're unique in that aspect. They're also unique in that everything is done 100% in the USA. All the materials, all the craftsmanship, everything's done in the US, so I appreciate that. But one thing about Grim Reaper that has really stood out to me as I've done some research here is the number of choices they have in broadheads. I think it's largely because they don't sell anything else. They only sell broadheads. And man, they make a lot of broadheads. So you probably have heard of their mechanical line. I've used the mechanicals a lot over the years. I've taken hogs, I've taken turkeys, I've taken deer with their mechanicals, all different sizes I've used. I recently tested one of their hybrid heads, the micro hybrid head, and you can check out that video if you haven't done so already. But in the process of looking at all their mechanicals and all their hybrids, I've kind of overlooked their fixed blades, and I just haven't thought of Grim Reaper as like a really good fixed blade broadhead for whatever reason. Really, it's just my ignorance. So I've been intrigued to test this micro HADES. I like micro heads. That's just what they call their line. That's really short, so they get a lot better flight, or I don't know, a lot better. They get better flight because they have less surface area. And then the micro HADES uses this Pro Series tip. And if you saw my test on the hybrid, you saw this Pro Series tip, and it's really intriguing to me, okay? Like, this thing is incredible. It truly is a cut-on contact tip. It's not like kind of sharp. It's razor sharp. I mean, it bites nail, it shaves hair. It is just as sharp as any blades out there. And yet, it's got this chisel tip as well. So it's got the combination, what they think of years in the making, of the bone busting chisel tip with the cut on contact sharpness in a tip that's like super, super durable. I saw that in my last test of the hybrids. I'm going to test it out in my test here of the micro HADES. Now, I mentioned earlier that they have a lot of different choices in heads. They have all of their mechanicals, they have all their hybrids, they have all of their fixed. And then what else is unique about them is they have different weights. So they go, I think, from, not with this head specifically, but they have heads that are 75 grains all the way up to 150 grains. So they have all different weights. And then their fixed blade come in 3-inch or 3-blade and 4-blade heads. And then their mechanicals come in all different sizes, and their hybrids come in all different sizes. Not just the grains, but different cutting diameters. So if you look at their website, man, they have like an incredible assortment. And actually, I sell all of their stuff on my Amazon storefront. So if you're looking to buy something, check out my Amazon storefront. I'll put the link in the description of this video. And any proceeds that I get from that, it's just a little bit, but I put it back into this channel to be able to buy more heads and so forth. But anyway, back to this head. So this head is really intriguing because that short design, it's the 4-blade, as you can see. It's 100% stainless steel. They use 440 stainless steel. The blades are 0.035 inches thick, so pretty stout blade. Again, all steel. They use a 4-point blade locking system that's really unique. There's 4 ways that it locks. It locks like onto the arrow itself, and then this tip locks in the blades as well, and then inside there's 2 internal locks to it. So the blades are supposed to be really secure like that. So I know it's sharp, I know it looks cool. I'm interested in seeing how well it flies. I'm going to shoot it out to 80 yards. And then I'm also going to be testing it through a lot of different mediums for penetration and durability. I'm going to test it through first my MDF. I have a few layers of 1/2-inch MDF with a rubber foam mat in front of it. It's kind of like simulating the hide and the bone of an animal. I like using MDF rather than plywood because it's much more homogeneous and it's consistent. It's not like if you hit a soft spot or hit a hard spot, it's going to do different things. It's very consistent. So I use that for all my testing. I'll see how well that does and see how the blades and the tip hold up to that. Then I'm going to shoot it through a steel plate, and I've got it just a 22 gauge steel plate set up in front of another layer of MDF. So we'll see how well the blades and the tip handle that. And then I'm going to shoot it, if it does well through that, and I don't know if it will be ready for this, but I'm going to shoot it into cinder block. Cinder block is not an animal, I know. I always get these comments, well, I'm not hunting cinder block. Okay, good for you, I'm not either. But I figure a 0 penetration test is a good test. Is it essential? No, but it does test the structural integrity as well as the materials that a broadhead are made of. And it really shows just how tough it is. Is it necessary for animals? Again, no, but if I'm choosing between a head that holds up really well to a cinder block and a head that blows apart with a cinder block, well, I'm going to choose the one that holds up well to a cinder block. I want to use my dollars in a way that's going to make them last, and I want to have the best chance possible of harvesting that animal, even if I get a really rough hit on some heavy bone. So anyway, I'm going to put it through all that and then see how the head fares. So let's give it a whirl. There's the entrance, and if we look at the penetration, obviously it blew through the first layer of MDF and then embedded well into the second layer. And then let's see, down below that, down you can see at the very bottom down there, it poked out down at the very bottom down there. It poked out, it didn't blow through it, and you can't really see the tip, but it did bulge out there at the bottom. And after going through the first 2 layers there of the MDF, and you can see it's in excellent shape. The blade's still all shaved nail. The tip is in pristine shape. Micro HADES against the steel plate. There's the entrance hole in the steel plate. Looks like it cut well. Penetration through the steel plate and foam mat and 1 layer of MDF. You can see it came out that back side. Looks like the tip and the blades almost all the way made it through. So here's the head after the steel plate. You can see it held up really well. 2 of the blades got slightly nicked up, but nothing that a few strokes wouldn't remedy. The tip is in pristine condition. Now I'm going with the micro HADES into the cinder block. Here's the micro HADES embedded in the cinder block. That's pretty awesome for a 4-blade to embed like that, and it's pretty embedded. Try to get this out. Okay, yeah, there it is. And there's the hole that it made there. Went in really deeply. Those tips, man, those tips are incredible, those Pro Series tips. And you can see the head itself fared very well, very well. It's got a bunch of concrete stuck on that tip. Blades held up well. Tip held up well. Let me clean it off and examine it a little bit more closely. Okay, so I cleaned up the micro Hades after sticking it into that cinder block. And man, this head held up so well. The tip is still in fantastic shape. It spins perfectly true. Let's see, one of the blades looks like it got a bit nicked up there at the top. Of course, the blades are replaceable. Man, I'm impressed that a component head like this would do that well into the cinder block. I mean, this head has gone through several layers of 1/2 inch MDF, steel plate, and cinder block, and it's still ready to kill some animals. Well, there you saw it. I gotta say, this head is a performer. This surprised me. I'd overlooked the whole Hades series and these Pro series, and then the micro Hades. I just overlooked them. I wasn't thinking of Grim Reaper as a very good fixed blade head for whatever reason. Again, my own ignorance. But man, this thing did really well. Flight wise, okay, it was fantastic. Out to 80 yards, you saw the grouping right there, and it was consistently like that. You know, it's one of the more forgiving long range fixed blade heads that I've ever tested. Penetration, it did really well, especially seeing that it's got 4 blades and the cutting diameter of each is 1 1/16 inch. So you got 2 1/8 inches of cut that's being pushed through these various mediums. And so the penetration, it did well with that. There's been some that have penetrated a little bit better, but not with that much cut. So it had a good balance there. But man, the durability, especially of this tip, is unbelievable. I mean, this thing just did so well going into the steel and then into the concrete. I was blown away by that. So if you're looking for a really stout, good flying fixed blade broadhead, you got to check out the Grim Reaper Micro Hades line.